Hi guys, welcome back to Doobrey's Day. Today on Doobrey's Day is another knife update. Today we are going to grind down post-tempering the blades. We are then going to prepare the scales, which are the parts of the handle, attach those onto the blades, and if there's time we'll also then finish off the handles on the blades. Let's go guys. So what I wanted to show you is two types of blades. This is Mini Doobs' blade here, and this is my blade. Now, my blade, as you can see, is a golden colour, straw colour they call it, perhaps just slightly over, but this is post-tempering. So if you remember, we lost the footage in the last video, unfortunately, so I had to redo it. So this has been re-tempered. Just for reference, that means putting it into the oven, 2 cycles of 1 hour each, about 204.5 centigrade, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And it comes out sort of a straw colour. That's probably just over, but that's a straw colour. Mini Doobs' blade here, that's been tempered, and he's gone back onto the grinder and hand sand it, and you can see here that he's got his plunge line in, going up, and he's starting to sort this bevel out here. So he has to grind this bevel down a little bit more. This is nice and flat. Next stage after grinding mine is that we're going to start preparing the handles, so we'll do that in a moment. Okay guys, after the first grind at 120, as you can see the straw colour is now gone. I do need to work on the profiling of that blade a little bit, so I'm going to hand finish that in a bit. I also finished this top bevel here, and I went round the bottom. But the bit I didn't do was the main sharp blade bit, but I did make this plunge line here nice and clear. So I need to hand sand these little bits here. We're going to go up to 240 in a moment. Mini Doobs is just getting ready to do his at 120. He's going to tidy it all up, make sure it's nice and clean. Then we're going to 240. Then we'll hand sand these parts in here. I don't know the name of them. I guess it's part of the plunge line, which goes like this. And then once we've done that, we then start preparing the handles. Off you go, Mini Doobs. So once we've done the grinder, this is what the knife looks like. As you can see, there's still quite a lot of rough lines on the knife. The other side of the knife is one I've already started work on. If I show you, as you can see here, I've tidied all this up, trying to remove all of the scratch marks, but leaving this at the moment rough, because we'll sharpen this and we'll go on to 240 on the belt in a moment. So on this side, we're going to repeat the process. We'll lock this into the vise. We'll hand sand the plunge line. I'm going to call this plunge line. If someone tells me what it's actually called, this line here. So it goes this way. I'm using a piece of metal here with some 240 grit sandpaper. We're going to clamp this onto here, and then we'll sand across here. So put the clamp on, put some WD-40 on, take your sandpaper and go backwards and forwards along this edge, and we'll try and tidy up. This is 240 sandpaper, and we're trying to, for me anyway, we're trying to make this plunge line a lot cleaner. So you use quite a decent amount of force, and over time with a bit of work, because we're keeping it flat, and we're going up to here because this is where the scales or the wooden handle is going to come to. So we want this to look nice as well, but the main thing I want to get in is this bit up here. So as you can see, a bit of work, and I'll wipe it down in just a second. It starts to go in the right direction, and you can see it's starting to get shiny here. So this is still rough, so I'm going to go down on the grinder in a moment onto 240 grit. I'm going to take some of this out as much as I can, especially these lines here, give it a distinctive line. Right, let's keep going. Okay, a little bit of an update for you. Mini Doobs and I, where are you Mini Doobs? We've just finished sanding the blades. I'll just see if I can zoom in on there. Mini Doobs, show us yours. And what we've done, if we put them down here, Mini Doobs, so people can see, what we've done, we've sanded horizontal. We've sanded horizontal this way, and then we've reground these blade edges up to 240. So horizontal here, and then 240 on here. Now, as we get better, these plunge line marks here will become squarer, but we're only amateurs, and this is our first ever go. But we've done it on both sides, as you can see. Next stage is the handle material. Mini Doobs has got some green handle material. I have gone for some red micarta, so that's more wood, whereas Mini Doobs is it's like a resin. We're now going to draw around the blade handles onto these. Mini Doobs has already done his. Find out where the hole's going to be, and then we're going to cut them out on the bandsaw. So let's get that done. Okay, so this is my micarta, it's like a wood substance. Mine's red, Ben's is some sort of resin. I've got the inside here, which is flat. I'm going to present my knife up to that point. And I've got my plunge line. I want to go just on, so the plunge line's just on the outside of that. I'm going to draw around this. I'll call this what I'm looking at, the left-hand side. So I can put L, and I'll call this the right-hand side. We're going to draw around it. Squeeze my hands for a second. Like so. So that's left. So left is, so that'll be the right in. And this is the R. And then, so that's right, that. So now I've got to flip it, which means it goes that way. And just behind there again, make sure it's inside. Hold it down, draw around it. And then, once we've done this, we're going to use the bandsaw. We're going to use the bandsaw, and that'll be L in. We'll use the bandsaw and we'll cut around it. Try and leave a little bit. That's a little bit close actually, isn't it? Why is that so close? I'm actually just going to recut that, so I've got a bit more like that. So you've got a decent amount around it, because then you can come in. So we're going to use a bandsaw. And we're going to cut all of these on Mini Doobs over here and mine here, and get them right. And then we'll drill the holes, and then we'll present them onto the blades, and then we'll glue it all. Let's do that onto the bandsaw. Okay, so this is the right hand side, which means I've got the left in piece of micarta, which we just cut out. We're now going to use these 1, 2, 3 blocks to have this drill press higher than the actual holes. So we're going to drill through this hole into the 1, 2, 3 block through the micarta all the way through. So I'm just going to do a little bit of adjustment, because I want that on here just to make sure it protects it. Make sure it's all aligned. We'll get some power and we'll drill this in. So we've got a nice hole all the way through. I'm just now going to move this clamp at the back and repeat on the other one. And off we go again. So we're just cutting down the little brass rods that we got. These are the 6mm brass rods, because we need to use these in the handles. So just using a little hacksaw just to cut through them. And there we we've got our 4 pins. Okay, so you can see the holes have been drilled all the way through, through the wood. What we do next, we take these guards off and carefully remove the blade. Pop it somewhere safe, or pop it up there for the moment. We then align these 2 pieces of wood, and the reason you have extra is that if you muck these holes up, you've still got space to adjust them. So left in, right in, we clamp them back up, and then we drill all the way through. Once we've done the drilling, we then use these little pins that we've got here, which we cut a moment ago, and push them in, and then those scales are then ready to be attached to the blade. So let's go and drill these 2. Now we're going to knock a pin into there to make sure they keep static, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Mini Doobs is just preparing his blade. He's got his resin on there. He's just making space so he can line this up. So he can line it up to drill his holes. Okay, what the next bit you have to do is, once you've got the pins through the wood or the plastic, you protrude the pins through so you can put the knife onto there. So the knife's just sitting on there at the moment. We need to turn this over, and we now need to draw onto here how we're going to finish the profile. So if we find the centre of this mark here, and then come up, and then we'll have a triangle up to there, and we'll go slightly down to here. That's a bit sharp. I'm going to do a little bit. It's not much on there, so I'm actually going to change mine. I'm going to have a triangle that way, and then straight down there, I think. Mini Doobs needs to do his. Then what we'll do, we'll take the blade off, which is quite tight, and then we'll go onto the grinder and we'll start grinding this to the shape that we need it to be. Okay, next step, we're now going to push the pins through so they're flat. I'm going to profile this based on the lines that we drew out, and make sure both are the same. Then we'll put the blade in and see what it looks like, and then we'll glue it up. So I need my personal protection equipment, PPE, and then onto the grinder. Let's go. Okay, so we've just done a test fit on the knife. One thing we want to do is we want to triangle this bit off here, and I might come up here as a triangle like this, if I just zoom in there. As you can see, there's still a little bit of meat to take off on the top, which is fine, which we'll do on a higher grit afterwards. And we're trying to get the curve in where the finger's going to be, and a little bit of meat can come off there. But as a test first fit, before we glue it, that looks okay. Oh. Okay, we've prepared the knife scales or handles ready. And then obviously got the finish on the edge yet, because we'll do that once we've got it all glued up. We're about to glue up. Now we're preparing everything, so we're going to degrease with some degreaser on all of the scales. We are going to make some epoxy resin, which is just warming up by the fire. We're going to make some epoxy resin, and then we're going to mix it. We're going to put it onto here, onto the blade, and onto here. Put the pins in some of the epoxy, put the pins in, and then assemble this. And then we're going to use these 3 clamps to clamp it all together. That's what we're going to do next. So using Gorilla 5-minute epoxy, normally we'd go for something a little bit longer, because apparently when you get the 24-hour epoxy, it's a lot stronger than this. But this will do for what we want to do for today. This is our first knife, so we're quite comfortable with just using 5-minute epoxy. It's a 2-part epoxy. So you'll take this top off and you'll squeeze both parts onto the bit of paper over there. We also need rubbing alcohol, and we're going to use some Q-tips so that when we put the epoxy into the knife, on this edge here, where it's going to come out, we'll use a Q-tip with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and we'll just pull it off and take any additional glue off of it.
Use that to start with, leave that there, mix it. You've only got a few minutes to work with this stuff, so you've got to be pretty quick. That is mine done, and now we're going to go on to mini Doobs. So sit this over here. So after the fun and games mini Doobs just had, how exciting was that, mini Doobs?
Good.
Good?
Very exciting.
Exciting? Says the boy who had his hands stuck everywhere. We managed to have 2 blades all clamped up. So here's mine. So it's all clamped up. We're going to leave that. And mini Doobs, he's just doing a little bit of maintenance on it. And that's it for now. So guys, that's this part of the blades. Next time we come along, we'll be sanding down those handles, making them pretty. Look at him working in the background, trying to finish up. We'll finish the handles, and then we'll have final blades. Woo, exciting. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next week on
Doobrey's Day.
Doobrey's Day. See you there. Bye.